Hello students, welcome to time classes. This class is limits, continuity and differentiability. Handout code is QAHO 3571728. I hope everybody has the correct handout. In the previous class, you were on part 6, limits, finding how to find limits at infinity and infinite limits. And we have learned these four basic rules. It says whether rule 4 says if highest power of x is same in both numerator and denominator, the limit is the coefficient of the highest term in the numerator divided by the coefficient of highest term in the denominator. Because when we take coefficient of x common, highest power of x common, it cancels out. So value remains for the coefficients. That's the limit. Rule 3 says if x remains in the denominator after cancelling the highest power, then value tends to 0. Rule 2 says if x remains in the numerator after taking the common part common, then value tends to infinite. And we also solve this expression in the previous class. Example, highest power of x in the numerator and denominator is degree 2 x square. Their coefficient is 3 by 2. So when you take x square common, all other terms tends to 0. So answer comes out to be 3 by 2. Direct application of rule 4. And in the previous class, we also learned some important limits which we'll be using in this class. Some basic standard formulas are given, limits are given 1, 2, 3, 4, this 6 will be using. Third and fourth says if 1 plus x in the bracket x tends to 0, second part 1 plus tending to 0 and power is tending to infinite, the value is e. Point 4 says 1 plus 1 by x, x tends to infinite, so 1 plus 1 by x will tends to 0 and power tends to infinite, value is e. These has to be memorized. Point 5, log 1 plus x upon x when x tends to 0, value is 1. And limit x tends to 0, a to the power x minus 1 upon x is nothing but log a to the base e. So we'll be using these results. Now let's move to question 6. It says 3x cube minus 4x upon x square minus 2. X is tending to infinite. Now in the numerator we had x cube. In the denominator we had highest power of x is 2x square. So if we take x common from numerator and denominator, highest power, x will remain in the numerator. So its value, our rule 2 says its value will tends to infinite. Straight away can be done through rule. We say limit x tends to infinite 3x cube minus 4x upon x square minus 2. We can simply say it is coefficient of x cube, that is highest power of x in numerator or denominator. Highest power of x cube in numerator is 3, coefficient is 3 and coefficient of x cube in denominator is 0. So its value comes out to be 3 by 0. Coefficient of highest power of x in the numerator and denominator. Numerator contain x cube, so denominator x cube coefficient is 0. There is no term containing x cube, so we assume its coefficient is 0. We can straight away say it can be 3, it is 3 by 0 and 3 by 0 is nothing but infinite. And if we carefully look at the choices, it comes out to be choice C. A rule we can straight away do these type of questions. Because x cube function rational expression, x cube is there in the numerator but denominator it is quadratic. So we term it is 0 into x cube plus x square minus 2. Let's do question 7 also. It says x is tending to infinite. An expression is 2x minus square root of 4x square minus x. So you simplify this expression by rationalizing the numerator and denominator. So once we rationalize the numerator and denominator, in the numerator we multiplied by 2x plus under root of 4x square minus x and the same term also in denominator. and then apply the formula a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So this comes out to be 2x whole square minus whole square of square root which goes out. So 4x square minus x. So in the numerator we get x, and in the denominator we get 2x plus under root 4x square minus x. X is tending to infinite. If we put substitute x equal to infinite, it's indeterminate form right now also. What we do, we take x common from the numerator as well as the denominator. So it will cancel out. We take highest power of x in the numerator and denominator. Highest coefficient is common. So numerator only 1 will remain. In the denominator, x comes out from 2. And from square root, we take x square common. So x comes out. So it's 4 minus 1 by x. Now when x is tending to infinite, 1 by x tends to 0. So this comes out to be 1 by 2 plus root 4, which is 2. 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. 1 by 2 plus 2, that is 1 by 4. Because under root 4 is 2. So 1 upon 2 plus 2 is 1 by 4. So we use rationalization of the expression, and then we take highest power of x common from numerator and denominator and cancels out, and then substitute when x tends to infinite. So our answer comes out to be choice B. Answer is choice B. Straight away we use first rationalization of the expression, and then we take highest power of x as common. Since it is highest coefficient, x same in numerator and denominator, it cancels out. So we get the coefficient, plus we got an additional term also. So 1 upon 2 plus 2 is 1 by 4. Moving to 7th method, how to evaluate limit is L'Hospital's rule. Now it says, suppose when you put x tends to a, fx upon gx tends to 0 by 0. Or when x tends to a, fx upon dx, two expression in x, polynomial function in x, or a composite rational expression fx upon gx tends to plus minus infinity upon plus minus infinity. Whenever these type of forms exist, where a can be any real number, infinite, infinity, or greater or negative infinity, in this case, what we do, limit of fx upon gx when x tends to a is as good as limit of x tends to a f dash x upon g dash x. We differentiate the numerator and denominator separately. So L'Hospital rules tells us that if we have an indeterminate form of 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity, all we need to do is to differentiate the numerator and denominator separately and then take the limit. Value remains the same. So we will be doing certain question on this rule also. So we differentiate the numerator as well as the denominator and take the value of the limit. Question 8 of the handout. It says limit x tends to 1, e to the power minus x minus e to the power minus 1 upon x minus 1. If we put x equal to 1, we get 0 by 0 form, that is indeterminate form. So we can apply L'Hospital's rule. So we differentiate numerator and we differentiate denominator also. But we have to differentiate them independently of each other. E to the power minus x differentiation is minus e to the power minus x minus 0, because e to the power minus 1 is constant, and x minus 1 differentiation is 1. So we get minus e to the power minus x upon 1. Now we can safely substitute x equal to 1. So it comes out to be minus sign remains there, e to the power minus 1, that is 1 by e. So ultimate value comes out to be minus 1 by e. And this we had a choice as choice B. So whenever we got of the form 0 by 0 or infinite by infinite, we apply L'Hospital rules. We differentiate numerator and denominator separately. And then as the form is removed, its value of the limit can be obtained by just substitution. We put x equal to 1. So minus of e to the power minus 1 is nothing but minus 1 by e. Yes. Let's try question 9 of the handout. It says you have to find limit x tends to pi by 4 sin x minus cos x upon x minus pi by 4. So we have to differentiate numerator as well as denominator, but first we have to check whether L'Hospital rule can be applied or not. When you put x equal to pi by 4, sin pi by 4 minus cos pi by 4, which is 1 by root 2 minus 1 by root 2, which is 0. And denominator is also 0. So when x tends to pi by 4, this is giving us 0 by 0 form. So we can say, we can apply L'Hospital's rule. Applying L'Hospital's rule, it says we differentiate numerator as well as denominator. Sin x differentiation is cos x and cos x differentiation is minus sin x. So minus minus becomes plus sin x. So cos x plus sin x, and denominator it's x minus pi by 4. Pi by 4 is a constant value. So differentiation of denominator is, differentiation of x is 1. So now the same limit will give the same value if we get the value of this limit also. Now we can substitute x equal to pi by 4 in the given expression, in the given limit. So we put x equal to pi by 4. Now cos pi by 4 is 1 by root 2 plus sin pi by 4 is 1 by root 2. So 1 by root 2 plus 1 by root 2 becomes 2 by root 2, which is nothing but root 2. And if we look at the choices, we got our answer as choice A. Now be careful in the choices. Choices, there is second choice is 1 by root 2. But our answer is 1 by root 2 plus 1 by root 2, that is 2 by root 2. And 2 by root 2 is nothing but under root 2. So we apply L'Hospital rules. Question becomes a simple one-liner question. Yes. Moving to question 11 of the handout. It says we have to find limit x tends to 0 sin x minus x upon x cube. There is one other form. We could simply write the expansion of sin x and then take x common and then solve the expression and get the value of the limit, because x tends to 0, we get left with one term, other terms remains to be 0. But that becomes a lengthier approach. So let's try applying L'Hospital rule. On putting x equal to 0, numerator becomes 0, denominator becomes 0, it's 0 by 0 form. So L'Hospital rules can be applied. So we differentiate the numerator. Sin x differentiation is cos x and x differentiation is 1. So in the numerator we got cos x minus 1. And x cube differentiation is 3x square. X tends to 0. So we apply L'Hospital rule. But if we put x equal to 0 at this stage also, cos 0 is 1 and 1 minus 1 is 0. Numerator becomes 0. 3x square, on substituting x equal to 0, it also becomes 0. So it's again 0 by 0 form. So we are not getting any value. We apply L'Hospital rule 1 in the given expression, but the result is again giving us an indeterminate form 0 by 0. So we again apply L'Hospital rules. Now differentiation of cos x is minus sin x and differentiation of minus 1 is 0 as it is a constant. That's a differentiation of numerator minus sin x, and differentiation of denominator 3x square differentiation is 6x. Now we try to substitute back x equal to 0 in this expression. It becomes 0 upon 0. Again the form remains indeterminate form. We are not getting a value. So we once again apply L'Hospital rule. Third time we also apply. Now differentiation of sin x is cos x, but minus sign was there, so it remains minus cos x. And differentiation of 6x is 6. Now denominator is independent of x, numerator x remains there. And if we substitute x equal to 0 in the given expression, cos 0 is 1, minus sign remains in the numerator and 6 in the denominator. So we get the value as minus 1 by 6. So in this case we had to apply L'Hospital rule till we get a value of the limit. But before applying, we have to check whether the form is 0 by 0 or infinite by infinite. This has to be checked. So if we carefully look at the choices, our choice comes out to be choice B, that is minus 1 by 6. So straight away it applied the rule thrice till we get the required value. X tends to 0 and denominator contain x cube. So first applying it becomes 3x square, degree reduces by 1. Then applying second it becomes 6x, and third it becomes x to the power 0. We get a finite value which is minus 1 by 6. Choice B. Now moving further, we learned till now 7 methods to evaluate limit. Now we move to continuous function. What do we mean by continuous functions? Let a function from A set to B be any given function and let C belongs to A. We say f is continuous at C if given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta which is greater than 0 such that fx minus fc modulus is less than epsilon, where x minus c is less than delta. In words, this means that if x is very close to c in domain, then fx is very close to fc in range. Equivalently, f is continuous at c, and we write limit fx x tends to c as fc. That is, when x is very close to c, fx is very close to fc. Now we observe that c belongs to A, that is fc must exist. Second, limit of fx when x tends to c exist. And third, these two should be equal. Value of function at c and limit of fx at x tends to c are equal. If any of these three conditions fails, then we say f is discontinuous at x equal to c. Let's repeat it once again. First point, c belongs to A. That is, fc must exist. When we put value of the c in the function, it exists. Second, limit of fx x tending to c also exists. And third, more importantly, value of function at c and value of limit of fx when x tends to c, both are equal. If any of these three conditions fail, then f is discontinuous at x equal to c. Now, types of discontinuities. For continuous, these three conditions has to be satisfied. If any of these conditions voids, we say it's a discontinuous. A function f is said to have a removable discontinuity at x equal to c if limit of fx at x tends to c exists but is not equal to the value of function at c. So this type of discontinuity is called removable discontinuity. Such discontinuity can be removed by assigning suitable value of the function at x equal to c, what we are getting from limit. So we say such type of discontinuity as removable discontinuity. Second, a function f is said to have discontinuity of first kind at x equal to c if left hand limit x tends to c minus fx and right hand limit exist but are not equal. We say it's a discontinuity of first kind. At x tends to c, if we approach from left hand side, we say it's left hand limit. If we approach from right hand side, we say it's right hand limit. So a function f is said to have discontinuity of first kind at x equal to c if left hand limit of the function and right hand limit of the function at x equal to c exist, both exist but are not equal. Third, f is said to have a discontinuity of second kind at x equal to c if neither left hand limit nor the right hand limit exist. Sometimes we ask these type in questions, which type of discontinuity is this? So first type, if both left and right hand limit exist but are not equal. Second kind of discontinuity, if neither left hand limit nor right hand limit exist. And removable, if value of function at x equal to c is different from the value of the limit which exists but is something different. So we can remove this discontinuity by applying a suitable value for the function at x equal to c. Yes. Now we solve certain question on these types. Question 13. It says if f is continuous at x equal to a, if function is continuous at x equal to a, then which of the following statement is true? First, limit fx exists x tends to minus a, that is left hand limit, and limit fx exists x tends to a plus, that is right hand limit of fx from at x equal to a exist. First point says both of the limit exist. So for a continuous function we have to tell which of the following statement is true. So a has to be true. B says left hand limit and right hand limit both are equal. Perfectly, value has to remain the same. Third, value of the limit fx at x tends to a is equal to value of the function at f equal to a. So all these 3 points must exist as we learned just now. So if f is a continuous at x equal to a, then which of the following statement is true? All statements given in option A, B, C must be true. Left hand limit exists, right hand limit should also exist. Left hand limit of fx at x equal to a is equal to right hand limit of fx at x equal to a. Third, left hand limit of fx at x equal to a should be value of fa. All the 3 conditions must exist for a function to be continuous. So we should mark all of the above. As what we know, this is a definition of continuity. For continuous function is actually, this question is definition of continuity. So all of them are correct. So answer is D choice, all of the above. Yes, answer is D choice. Basic definition they asked in question. Moving further, we come to question 20 of the handout. It says if fx, now it's a piecewise function, 1 when x is less than equal to 3. This function is ax plus b when x is greater than 3 but less than 5, and 7 when x is greater than equal to 5. This function is defined piecewise function. Now it is given this function is continuous on real numbers, real values. Then the values of a and b are. Now again we have to check the definition for a continuous function, and since the values are changing at 3 and 5, so we have to check left hand limit as well as right hand limit and value of function at that particular 3 and 5 exist or not, and it says is continuous, so all 3 should be equal. So fx is given as continuous at 3, 5. So first we check value of function right hand limit of 3 fx. The right hand limit of 3 can be obtained, should be equal to, can be obtained from ax plus b. We substitute x equal to 3, it comes out to be 3a plus b. This is right hand limit at x equal to 3 plus. Now we will find left hand limit of fx at x equal to 3 minus, which is given as 1. Left hand limit 3 minus is given as, left hand limit of 3 is 1, right hand limit of 3 is 3a plus b. For the and the value of the function at 3 is also 1. For the function to be continuous, left hand limit should be equal to right hand limit. Can we say 3a plus b should be equal to 1? We can safely say 3a plus b should be equal to 1. Now this is equation number 1 we have. Because there are 2 variables to find out, so we required one more equation. So fx is continuous at 3, so we find right hand limit from the function. It says ax plus b, a into 3 plus b. Left hand limit at x equal to 3 is 1, and these two has to be equal. So we can say 3a plus b should be equal to 1. First equation we got. Now similarly we check left hand limit of 5. The left hand limit of 5 can be obtained from ax plus b, that is left hand limit means 5 minus h. We are closing to 5 from left hand side. So it's 5a plus b. Now function is given continuous at left hand at 3 and 5 both. So if we find right hand limit of 5, right hand limit of 5, that is fx at x tends to 5 plus, that is 7 as given by the function. So it comes out to be 7. Now since it is continuous at 5 also, so we can say left hand limit and right hand limit of fx both should be equal. Now since both should be equal, we can safely say that 5a plus b is equal to 7. This is the second equation which we have in A and B, second equation in A and B. We had one equation 3a plus b equal to 1, then 5a plus b is equal to 7. If we simply solve these two equations simultaneously, we get value of a as 3 and b as minus 8. So we use definition of continuous function. We find left hand limit as well as right hand limit at x equal to 3. We get one equation 3a plus b which is equal to 1. We also find left hand limit and right hand limit at 5 and equate them because this is given as continuous function at 3 as well as 5. So we get another value. So and then solving those two expressions, we get the value of a as 3 and b as minus 8. If we carefully look at the choices, we get our choice as choice B as the answer. So very basic approach we have done. We are using definition of continuous function. We are finding left hand limit as well as right hand limit. This is clear, I hope. Question 19. Let's try question 19. It says the function f defined by fx. The function f is defined by fx is 1 minus modulus 1 minus x plus mod x, and then 4 option is given. And in the option he is talking about continuous or discontinuous at x equal to 0 and x equal to 1. So because this function is changing values at x equal to 0 and x equal to 1, so we will check for continuous function at these 2 points. Fx equal to 1 minus x plus mod x, we can say when x lies between 0 and 1, because turning point of this function is 0 and 1. When x lies between 0 and 1, first bracket is mod 1 minus x will be positive and mod x will also be positive. So we can say value of functions comes out to be 1 minus x plus x, that is 1. It's a constant value coming when x lies between 0 and 1. And if x is greater than 1, then first bracket will becomes negative. So it gives us x minus 1, but second remain positive. So it becomes 2x minus 1 when x greater than 1. Fx equal to x minus 1 plus x, that is 2x minus 1 when x is more than 1, because 1 minus x will give negative value. So can we say at x equal to 1, value is 1, f1 is 1. At x equal to 1, f1 is 1. Left hand limit at h is equal to tends to 0. When we go for 0, it comes out to be 1. And if we move right hand limit, h tends to 0. Tending to 0, it's 2 into, when 0 to between lies 0 to 1, it's is coming as 1 plus 2h, that is 1. H tends to 0, left hand limit is 1. H tends to 0, right hand limit we replace 1 plus h, right hand limit at 1, 1 plus h. When h tends to 1, h tends to 0, it comes out to be 1. So left hand limit and right hand limit both are equal to exist and both are equal to function 1. What we are doing, we are checking for x equal to 1. So we replace x by 1 plus h. So when we replace x by 1 plus h, when x tends to 1, h tends to 0. So in both the cases for left hand limit as well as right hand limit, we replace x by 1 plus h and h tends to 0. and putting h equal to 0, we get the value as 1. So left hand limit is also 1, right hand limit is also 1, and value of the function is also comes out to be 1. So can we say fx is continuous at x equal to 1? This we had checked only at x equal to 1. Function is given as 1 minus x plus 1. So 1 between 0 to 1, it gives value 1, which is left hand limit at 1. At 1, the function gives us value 1. And for right hand limit, when x is greater than 1, the function value is 2x minus 1. So we replace x by 1 plus h. So as x tends to 1, h tends to 0. So for right hand limit, we can see right hand limit we had h tends to 0. So x replace 1 plus h. So 2 into 1 plus h minus 1. So 2 minus 1, 1 plus 2h, and as we substitute h tends to 0, it comes out to be 1. So left hand limit is equal to right hand limit, which is equal to function value at 1. Therefore, fx is continuous at x equal to 1. This function is continuous at x equal to 1. Similarly, consider x less than equal to 0 and check for x equal to 0. We get the function is continuous at x equal to 0 also. Less than 0 and at x equal to 0, it's giving the same value as giving greater than equal to 0. So function is continuous at x equal to 0. Function is continuous at x equal to 1. So we mark our choice as choice C. X equal to 1 is shown to you. X equal to 0, you can yourself check. It comes out to be the same value. So function is continuous at 0. When you are checking from right hand side 0, you put 0 plus h. Can be done also. The function is continuous at x equal to 0. Yes, so answer is choice C. Let's check at x equal to 1, it is continuous. Now let's do question 14. It says a function fx is given as x plus 1 for x greater than equal to 2. 2x minus 1 when x lies between 1 and 2. And x minus 1 when less than equal to 1. This function is piecewise defined. And the question is asking whether it is continuous at 1, 2, discontinuous. So again we have to check at both the endpoints 1 and 2. Now left hand limit at x tending to 1 is obtained from x minus 1. And on putting 1 as 1 minus h, we get the value as 1 minus h minus 1, that is minus h. H tends to 0, value is 0. We can safely say left hand limit at 1 is 0. Right hand limit is obtained from 1 from 2x minus 1. That is, you replace 1 by 1 plus h. So it's 2 plus 2h minus 1. That is 1 plus 2h when h tends to 0. This value comes out to be 1. Now at x equal to 1, left hand limit is 0, right hand limit is 1. Both exist but are different. So can we safely say fx is discontinuous at x equal to 1? Fx is discontinuous at x equal to 1 because left hand limit at 1 and right hand limit at 1 are different. So fx is not continuous at x equal to 1. Now we check for 2. Right hand limit of 2 can be obtained from x plus 1. So it's 2 plus h plus 1, that is 3 plus h, h tends to 0, that comes out to be 3. We can replace x by 2 plus h as x tends to 2, h tends to 0. So left hand limit and right hand limit at x equal to 2 plus, we are finding 2 plus, and left hand limit less than 2 can be obtained from 2x minus 1. It should be right hand limit and it should be left hand limit. Left hand limit from is less than 2, or we are just writing 2 plus 1, one we get 2 plus, another we get 2 minus. So 2 plus we obtain from x plus 1 and 2 minus we obtain from 2x minus 1. So it comes out to be 4 minus 1, that is again 3. At x equal to 2 also, If we put the value, we get value as 2 plus 1, that is again 3. So function of 2 value also comes out to be 3. So in case of 2, left hand limit is obtained from and right hand limit both exist and are equal, and the same is true for f2, which is also given as 3. So all three are equal. Therefore f2 is continuous at x equal to 2. f2 is continuous for x equal to 2. So we got our answer is fx is discontinuous at x equal to 1 and continuous at x equal to 2. So answer comes out to be choice D. We simply find the left hand limit, right hand limit. In case of 1, we got them different. So we did not check the value of function at 1. Which can be checked is 0. But right hand limit is something else, left hand is different. In case of 2, left hand limit as well as right hand limit as well as value of function all exist and are same. So we can say f2 is continuous at x equal to 2 but discontinuous at x equal to 1. So we got our option as choice D. Yes. Now question 15 of the handout, it says function is under root of sec x minus 1 upon x if x is less than 0, under root 1 minus cos x upon x if x is greater than 0, and as 0 its value is defined as 1 by root 2. Now option says fx is continuous at x equal to 0, left hand limit, right hand limit exist and are equal but not equal to f0. Left hand limit is equal to function value at 0 but not equal to right hand limit. So we have to find all the three. Value of f0 we know 1 by root 2. So left hand limit 0 minus under root sec x minus 1 upon x. So we rationalize. We use initial method we done, method of rationalization. We rationalize the numerator. It's under root sec x minus 1 upon under root sec x plus 1. So it comes out to be root a into root b is root ab. So it becomes sec square x minus 1 in the root, and denominator we have x into root sec x plus 1. Now sec x square minus 1 is 10 square x. So in the numerator out of root it comes 10x. Numerator we got 10x and the denominator we got x into root sec x plus 1. We are finding left hand limit, so we use the first part when x is less than 0. Expression is given as under root of sec x minus 1 upon x. So we multiplied by root sec x plus 1 in the numerator and denominator. We are actually not rationalizing, we are actually multiplying. It's a conjugate sec x minus 1, we want to multiply it by sec x plus 1. To get this as sec x square minus 1, the value of is known to us. So we write the similar term under root of sec x plus 1 in the numerator as well as the denominator. So it's under root of sec x square minus 1 upon x into root sec x plus 1. Sec x square minus 1 is nothing but tan x, and tan x upon x, we know it's a form of the limit. Now two separate limits are there. Now tan x upon x when x tends to 0 is 1, and when we put x tends to 0 in sec x, sec 0 is 1, so 1 plus 1 2 in root, so value comes out to be 1 by root 2. So we get value of left hand limit also as 1 by root 2. Value of function at f0 is also as 1 by root 2. Now let's find the right hand limit. Right hand limit is obtained from under root of 1 minus cos x upon x if x is greater than 0. So we multiply numerator and denominator by a non-zero quantity under root of 1 plus cos x. So that in the numerator under root of 1 minus cos x multiplied by under root of 1 plus cos x becomes under root of 1 minus cos square x. Now 1 minus cos square x is sin square x. So we get a term called sin square x. So we multiply numerator and denominator by under root of 1 plus cos x. So under root of 1 minus cos x upon x into under root of 1 plus cos x. Denominator also contain under root of 1 plus cos x. So it is 1 minus cos square x upon x into root cos x plus 1. So in the numerator, it comes out to be sin x, and denominator it's x upon under root 1 plus cos x. Now if you remember the basic result, sin x upon x when x tends to 0 is 1. And if under root 1 plus cos x in the denominator we put x equal to 0, it becomes 1 plus cos 0. Cos 0 is 1. 1 plus 1, that is 2. It's root 2. So we substitute the value of x equal to 0 in the expression. So we get value as 1 by root 2. Now left hand limit is 1 by root 2. Right hand limit is also 1 by root 2. And value of function at fx, f is also 1 by root 2. So we can safely say fx is continuous at x equal to 0. Since its left hand limit as well as its right hand limit and the value of the limit at x equal to f0, value of function at f0, all are equal, given as 1 by root 2. So out of the given choices, we have to mark choice A as the answer. This was given as question 15 of the handout. I hope this is clear. We done it in a basic manner. We find left hand limit at x equal to 0. We find right hand limit at x equal to 0. Both comes out equal to 1 by root 2. And the value of function at x equal to 0 is also given as 1 by root 2. All the three are equal. So we can safely say among the given choices, we should mark fx as continuous at x equal to 0. Yes. Now, question 16 of the handout. For what value of b is the following function is continuous? We have to find the value of b. It says fx is equal to x square minus b square upon x minus b when x is not equal to b. And when x is equal to b, the value is by default given as 0. So limit of x square minus b square upon x minus b, if we learn the standard result, it says n a to the power n minus 1. Here n is 2 and a is b. So answer is 2b to the power 2 minus 1, that is 2b. The value of the limit when x tends to b for this expression is b. That is 2b. Value is 2b. And it is given fx is continuous. And when x equal to b, function value is 0. So limit also should give the value as 0. Which implies 2b is equal to 0, that means b equal to 0. So if b equal to 0, we have to mark answer as choice C. It's straight away a definition based question they asked. X equal to b, when x equal to b, function value is 0. When x is not equal to b, function value, we use the standard formula x square minus b square upon x minus b. We learned a formula x to the power n minus a to the power n upon x minus a. When x tends to a, its limit value is n a to the power n minus 1. So once we applied, we get the value of the limit as 2b. But value of the function at b is given as 0. So for the function to be continuous at x equal to b, limit also give value as 0. So 2b is equal to 0 simply says b equal to 0. Which is option C. It's a definition based question we have. Yes. Question 17. It says for what values of c and d is the following function continuous everywhere? For what values in c and d the following function is continuous everywhere? And options are giving values of c and d. They are just changing the signs of the value. Now turning points are 0 and 1. So we'll be checking at 0 as well as 1. It says limit of fx x is less than left hand limit at x tends to 0 is obtained from 3x square minus 1, which is 3x square minus 1, which gives me, when we put x equal to 0, it gives minus 1. Left hand limit at x tends to 0 is minus 1. And function value at 0 is nothing but c into 0 plus d is equal to d. C into 0 is 0, so value comes out to be d. Now since this function is given to be continuous everywhere, so it will also should be continuous at 0 as well as 1. So for 0, left hand limit is minus 1 and value of function at 0 is d. So we can safely say value of d, if x is continuous at x equal to 0, so value of d should be equal to, all are equal, so we can say d comes to be minus 1. Indirectly this is limit x tends to 0 equal to function value at 0 and right hand limit d is equal to minus 1. So we get the value of d as minus 1. We have to just find the value of c and d. Now if we check at 1, left hand limit can be obtained from cx plus d, that is c into 1 plus d, that gives c plus d. But left hand limit, we know the value of d is minus 1. So we use the value of d, substitute value of d. So left hand limit at x equal to 1 is c minus 1 because value of d is minus 1. Now if we find the right hand limit of 1 at 1 plus, we obtain from under root wala expression, under root x plus 8. So it's 1 plus 8, 1 plus, that is under root 9. How do we find right hand limit? We replace 1 by 1 plus h, as x tends to 1 plus h tends to 0. It's 1 plus h, that is 9. 9 plus h goes out is 0. So under root 9 is 3. Now right hand limit at x equal to 1 is 3. Left hand limit at x equal to 1 is c minus 1. Now for the function to be continuous, if x is continuous at x equal to 1, it is given, it is continuous everywhere. So continuous at 0 and 1 also. It is continuous. So we can say left hand limit is equal to right hand limit, function at 1, it comes out to be c minus 1 is equal to 3. Value at function, value of left hand limit, value of function should be equal to 1. So can we say c is equal to 4? Expression comes out to be c equal to 4. So we got the value of d as minus 1. We got the value of c as 4. If we carefully look at the choices, we had one choice which is given as choice B. We had the value of c, we had the value of d, c equal to 4, d is equal to minus 1. So we got our answer as choice B, option B. It is given function is continuous everywhere. So function is continuous at x equal to 0 also and x equal to 1. So at 0 we check left hand limit and right hand limit and equate them. At 1 we found left hand limit from cx plus d and right hand limit from under root of x plus 8 and equate the values to get the values of c as well as d. I hope this is clear. Now let's do an example. It says a function fx is given as 2x minus 1 square upon sine 2x into log 1 plus x for x not equal to 0. And fx is equal to 2 log 2 for x equal to 0. When x is not equal to 0, we had this expression. When x equal to 0, we had the value as 2 log 2. And it says discuss the continuity at x equal to 0. So we find limit x tends to 0 at fx 2x minus 1 whole square upon sine 2x into log 1 plus x. Now we segregate the function. We divide by x square the numerator as well as the denominator. As x tends to 0, x is not equal to 0. So in the numerator we get 2x minus 1 upon x whole term to the square power 2. And in the denominator 1x we gave to sine 2x upon x and multiplied by 2 also, so that it becomes sine ax upon ax. When ax tends to 0, value is 1. And log 1 plus x upon x. We had the result formula for these. So we try to make a form out of this. We divide numerator as well as denominator by x square. Because value of function at x equal to 0 we know is 2 log 2. If limit at x tends to 0 comes out to 2 log 2, then we can talk about continuity, continuous or discontinuous. We are finding the limit of the function. Now 2x minus 1 upon x whole square, limit 2 sine 2x upon 2x into log 1 plus x to the whole power 1 by x. Now we know when x tends to 0, 1 plus x, 1 plus x, x is tending to 0, power is tending to infinite, its value tends to e, and log e to the base e is 1. Now this value we had expression. Now which formula we are using? A to the power x minus 1 upon x log a to the base e. This gives us standard result when x tends to 0. Now this is to be used in the numerator part where a is 2. And we are also using log limit x tends to 0, 1 plus x to the whole power 1 by x, when bracket inside the bracket 1 plus tending to 0 and power is tending to infinite, value is e, and it says limit sine ax upon x when x tends to 0 is a. So we are using this result. Now sine 2x upon 2x will become 1. Inside log, in the denominator, limit 1 plus x to the whole power 1 by x when x tends to 0 becomes e, and log e is 1. In the numerator, a to the power x minus 1 upon x, 2 to the power x minus 1 upon x when x tends to 0 is log 2 to the base e, and its power is 2. So it is 1 by 2 log 2 whole square. But given fx equal to 2 log 2 at x equal to 0. But once we find the limit, it comes out to be 1 by 2 log 2 whole square. We use these three standard results. Limit of fx at x tending to 0 is not equal to f0. Limit of fx at x tending to 0 is not equal to f0. So can we safely say fx is not continuous at x equal to 0? Since limit of fx and value of fx at f0 are not equal, so we say it is not continuous at x equal to 0. Yes, we use these three basic formulas. Let's do one more example. It says we have to find limit of 3 to the power x minus 1 upon 1 plus x squared to the power 1 by 2 minus 1, x tends to 0. So we rationalize the denominator. We multiply by under root of 1 plus x square plus 1 in the numerator and denominator. And in the denominator, we use a form a minus b multiplied by a plus b gives us a square minus b square. So we had limit numerator 3x minus 1 and one more terms appear under root of 1 plus x square plus 1. And in the denominator we had 1 plus x square minus 1. And x is tending to 0. On simplifying it further, it says 3 to the power x minus 1 upon x into x plus 1, then bracket under root of 1 plus x square plus 1. X tends to 0. Now, if we write this expression in the form of a to the power x minus 1 upon x, we had a standard formula. And x plus 1, we can straight away put x equal to 0, denominator becomes 1. And numerator also, we can substitute x equal to 0. So we take two different limits, it's given in the form of a product. So first function multiplied by second function. It says 3 to the power x minus 1 upon x upon 3 to the power x minus 1 upon x, limit is taken separately, and second function under root of 1 plus x square plus x square root plus 1 upon x plus 1. In second function we put x equal to 0, denominator becomes 1, numerator becomes 2, and it becomes log 3 to the base e. We we use the formula limit x tends to 0, a to the power x minus 1 upon x is log a to the base e. And from second we get value, when we put x equal to 0, we get value as 2. So 2 log 3 is nothing but 2 goes to the power, it becomes log 9 to the base e. So let's summarize once again what we done in this particular part. We multiply the numerator and denominator by its conjugate. And on simplifying, we get 3 to the power x minus 1 upon x as one function and remaining function as another. So we take two separate limit, one for 3 to the power x minus 1 upon x, other for under root of 1 plus x square plus 1 upon x plus 1. And once we put the value of x tends to 0 in this expression, we get the value as log 3 from one limit and 2 from other. Since 2 log 3, 2 goes to the power, log x to the power n is n log x. So n log x is log x to the power n. 2 goes to the power, it becomes 9. So answer is log 9 to the base e. Yes. Let's take one more example. Find the value of k if fx is given when x is not equal to 1 and f of minus 1 is given k is continuous. We have to find the value of k if this function is continuous at x equal to minus 1. If minus 1 is given as k, so we have to find the value of the limit at x tending to minus 1. Given fx is continuous at x equal to minus 1, so limit of x tends to minus 1, f minus 1 is given as k. You have to find the value of k. So let's try to find the limit at x tends to minus 1. But if we put x equal to minus 1, denominator becomes 0. So we have to first simplify this expression. So we factorize the numerator. It's a cubic function. Factorize into x plus 1, 2x square minus 7x plus 11 upon x plus 1. And limit x tends to minus 1. Since x tends to minus 1, x plus 1 is common part, which is giving us an indeterminate form. It's cancelled out because x plus 1 is not equal to 0 as x is not equal to minus 1. It is tending to minus 1. And then we get the value as 2x square minus 7x plus 11. And we substitute x equal to minus 1. So it gives us 2 minus 1 square minus 7 of minus 1 plus 11. So that gives us 2 plus 7 plus 11. Minus 7 into minus 1 is plus 7. And the value is 11 plus 7, 18 plus 2 is 20. So value of limit at x equal to minus 1 equal to 20. So for the function to be continuous, value of k should also be equal to 20. I hope this is clear. Thank you. Thanks.